So you want to build a house. Welcome to the podcast. So you want to build a house, sponsored by Aurora Homes. I'm Scott Daly, and I'm here with my co-host, Keith Strom.
Hey, hey.
And today it's episode 26, the big 2-6. Closer to 30 than you are to 20. You know, 26 was a disturbing age for me.
Tell me about it.
Well, it comes down to that fact that I just mentioned, that when I turned 26, I realized I was then closer to 30. You know, and when you're 26, 30's old. I'm older than 30 now and maybe older than 40, and we're going to be a little vague after that. And so neither 26 nor 30 are old any longer. But that old, the word old has a very relative definition to the current user.
Yeah.
Right?
Which has changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. And then so when I was 26, I was like, wait a minute. I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20. I've been out of college as long as I was in college. 26 was a problem for me.
Yeah. 26 is when my daughter was born.
Right?
I was 26.
You were doing so much more adulting things.
Yeah, the back half of 26 is, I don't know the difference between that and 29, like that 3 or 5.
Right.
I have no idea.
Because once your daughter's born, time is measured in hours, not years.
Yeah. I mean, I think 26, especially, after she was born in July. So the back end of 26, I'm just
crazy
wondering when bedtime is.
Right. How do I survive the next 3 hours? And can I make this little human stop screaming?
Yep.
And in the case of your daughter, the answer to that was generally no.
Yeah.
She's not going to stop screaming.
Nope, she's not going to stop screaming. She's going to be adamant.
That's right. She is a strong-willed child. But, hey, we're not here to talk about the age of 26 or baby Aurora, but we're here to talk about, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the Cora.
Right. So this is the first episode in a series of podcasts that we're recording that are just going to talk about some of the Aurora Homes specific floor plans. And what they are is they're a resource for folks to understand if you're looking at those floor plans or you just want to understand how new homes are designed and how builders come up with certain floor plans and all that. So this is really just sort of a background. And so this is the first one in the series. So you may be listening to this when the Cora is the only pod episode about an Aurora Homes floor plan, or you may be listening to when they're all done and you just might have an interest and you say, well, how do I understand this plan a little better? Right? So new homes are expensive, and we'd like to think that if you're going to buy a very expensive product from a company, that you could know a little more about how the company came about creating that product. Right? I mean, that seems fair. So
yeah, I mean it's definitely it profiles as the most popular type of house, right? A single family home,
right?
Single floor,
right? Single level living,
and kind of brings me, I guess maybe the first question we can dive into is why is this type of plan so popular? Why is a single family, one floor living house popular?
Right. So one of the things I think that is unique about Delaware real estate, specifically Sussex County real estate, is the type of product. So if you look at homes that are around big cities, Washington, Philadelphia, New York, these are all large metropolitan areas, Baltimore, don't want to forget you guys. We're going to talk about some of Keith's predictions about the Super Bowl that we recorded in December that are already gone bust.
Yeah, I lost.
We won't handle that until December of 2024 when we revisit some predictions. But you got close. Anyway, so we're not forgetting you, Charm City. Nothing but love over there. Anyway, so what you find in those, a lot of two-story colonials is kind of the dominant floor plan design. The bedrooms are on the upstairs, the living space is on the first floor, and there might be a basement, and that's it. Well, so fast forward to Sussex County, and Sussex County has been growing really for the last 25 years pretty dramatically. But the demographic has evolved to the place where the main house that you're going to see in new construction, in used homes, you name it, is going to be that single level rancher. and it's the split rancher. This is a little hard to describe in a podcast, but basically you walk in the middle of the house and the garage is on one side when you walk in, and the master suite is behind the garage. The kitchen and the dining area are in the middle of the house, and down the opposite side are 2 bedrooms and your great room. And if you look at every floor plan that any builder's had for the last 20 years, it is some flavor of that. Man, that's like vanilla. And you've got your French vanilla, you've got your creamy vanilla, you've got your vanilla bean. And maybe they all want to say they're a little different, but they're all kind of that. And so you've got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a kitchen, a dining area, and a family room, and an owner's suite and a garage. And they're all in the same plan, and the plan's relatively square. And the elevations can look dramatically different. And if you go and you drive through any neighborhood in Sussex County that's 20 years old or less, you're going to see lots of these things. Now, they might have upstairs, they might have some optional space up there, and a few other variations. But that is it. And the reason I think why that has just been the driving force behind new homes is that you have retirees or pre-retirees have been your predominant buyer. That's not as true as it used to be, but it's still probably true. And that's what they want. They want all the house on the same floor. They've been walking up and down those stairs for 30 years of that house, and wherever they were living, somewhere in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Maryland, and they say, I don't want to do that anymore. I want everything on the first floor. And so that's it. That is the house. And so at its core, I think that's what makes it so popular is it's been a floor plan that works. And so, yeah, for 20 years, neighborhoods are just full of them.
Yeah, I mean they're everywhere. It's still such a common type of house to build, but the Cora brings some differences. One of my favorite things is the dead end great room. We can get into that a little bit.
Sure.
Basically, what makes the Cora unique? I think obviously it does carry a lot of those characteristics of the single family home. It being one of our most popular models, we want to push this model on its strength, and its strength is that it's all on one floor. And so, what makes the Cora different?
Well, so I think what we really did is we came back and we said that basic design, the 2 bedrooms that are up by the front door, the bathroom that they share, the great room behind that, the kitchen in the middle, and the owner suite on the other side behind the garage is just such a core design. But like anything that's 2 decades old or 25 years old or whenever that floor plan really started, because it's probably older than that if you go to Florida and you go to somewhere where they invented single level living, which was not Southern Delaware. And so I think the way people live has changed. And so, as Aurora Homes evolved, we took on some certain design principles, and we said, look, this is obviously a floor plan that is a popular concept that people like. These homes have been built in the thousands here in Southern Delaware. And so how can we take that and sort of update it? How can we say, okay, this is a great design, but it's a quarter of a century out of date? And the staggering thing that we did when we started looking at the research is we realized that a lot of builders haven't changed these plans. And not only that, but I mean, these plans are still winning design awards from industry trade associations, and they're 20 years old. And we said, maybe that's not the best. If you're going to drop $700,000 on something that's brand spanking new, do you want it to be a 20-year-old design? So our answer to that was maybe not. And so we just looked to maybe take the Cora and try to sort of bring it into the middle of the 21st century and update it for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've got really one of my favorite things. Obviously, you got this dead end great room, which takes the great room and it puts it on the back, makes it its own space. You're not walking through the great room to get to the master like you're talking about in the other popular single family floor plan. But we're adding a lot of bathrooms now.
Right. Yeah, I think the dead end great room concept is it's hard to understand until you really get it. And you have to think about this with these open floor plans. And open floor plans don't have hallways, but all rooms have to have hallways in them if you have to go from that one room through a room into another room. there's a hallway, and it's going to be made in your furniture, and it's going to be made out of all that space. And you're saying, a colonial house had a big hallway upstairs, and it might have had a hallway downstairs. And these houses hardly have hallways anywhere. But people are still walking. The one thing that hasn't changed is that people still walk from one room to another, right? There's the hoverboard that I saw in
Back to the Future,
which I think, happened and was supposed to be like 2022, right?
Yeah.
I still don't have my hoverboard.
Yeah.
And now I'm too old. I don't want one because I feel like I'll break something.
I need to watch that again. It's been a long time.
Right. No one has a hoverboard. It's a bummer. Shame on, was that Steven Spielberg? Who did?
Yeah.
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 Bad Steven.
Yeah. He made a pretty, probably at the time felt like a pretty reasonable.
He promised.
A pretty reasonable guess.
I mean, how many other movies have you seen about 2022? I can't think of any. And that one had a hoverboard. He promised.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't come to fruition, just like my Super Bowl prediction.
Right. I'm a little upset with Mr. Spielberg about that, but I'll speak to him later on that issue. So anyway, we digress. So the point is, if you can't see the hallway in the floor plan, you're going to take part of the room and use it for a hallway.
Yeah, you got to walk somewhere.
And so what we do when we call these dead-end great rooms is we say there's no room that you have to use the great room to get to, right? So you don't walk through a dead-end great room to get anywhere else. And what that means is you don't have to allocate any space in that room to a hallway. It's a dead-end great room. There is not a hidden hallway in it. And that means that you get much more usable space in the way that you lay out your furniture because you don't have to think about someone who has to walk through that room. And that's not always the case in some of these rooms. And so that is a huge design feature. And I think you also focused you talked about the idea of more bed bath suites.
Yeah.
So one of the most obvious things that you can see about a Cora versus some of the similar homes by other builders is that our house is not a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-level rancher. Our house is a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath, single-level rancher. And what that means is that every bedroom there has a suite. It has its own bathroom. It has a closet. Now, the owner suite is a lot bigger and still designed as an owner suite. But these other 2 guest rooms, whether they are for kids, whether they're for guests, whether you're going to use one as an office, there's a lot of different uses those rooms get, and they don't always get used as bedrooms. They all have a bathroom attached to them. So when you have guests, so what happens? So here, if you take that 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and let's say you have one kid and you have someone who comes down and stays for the weekend, because, man, if you buy a house in southern Delaware, everyone's going to want to come visit you in the summertime because now they think they have a free place to stay at the beach. And so what ends up happening, and let's say you have some people over that weekend. So the kids' bathroom is the guest bathroom. Your guests that are here for the weekend, that's also their bathroom. And then everybody that's coming over for your barbecue on Saturday night, that's their bathroom. Yeah. Because there's only one bathroom that's not in the owner suite for the entire house.
Yeah, you're cleaning it all weekend.
Right.
Every day.
And so we said, look, that's just not the way we live anymore. So when your guests come down and you are living in a Cora, they get their own bathroom. And the guests that come over for the picnic, there's a powder room, for your barbecue. There's a powder room that they can use. So they're not even using the same bathroom. And your kid who's living there, whether they're the adult kid that you just can't seem to get rid of or you inherited back because that's a thing, or your kid's still growing up, they have their own bathroom. And what happens is, practically speaking, is when people come over, you're not scrambling to clean a bathroom because that's what happens. People are like, oh, man, there's guests coming over. What does the spare bathroom look like? And it never looks guest ready when the guests are getting ready to arrive. It just doesn't. Well, now you don't have to sweat that. You're just like, okay, check the powder room. And that little powder room, okay, we're good. We're good. So that's sort of one of the ideas of sort of taking this design and make it a sort of a next generation concept is going forward. We think that most bedrooms are going to have their own bathroom in new homes. And we want to design a house that has a relevant design 25 years from now, not just now. And so there aren't a lot of builders that are thinking this way, but we think that they should be. And we want your house to have a design that makes sense for decades to come. So that's one of the big features. So I think another one is just privacy in the owner suite, right? That's sort of a key thing that we try to incorporate into the core is that the owner's bedroom is separated from the main living area.
Yeah, you want to eliminate common walls.
Right.
Where sound can pass.
The curse of the open floor plan is sound.
Yeah.
The joy of the open floor plan is open. It's great. The bummer is, especially today where there's so much multi-generational living. You know, my kids are grown, but they're younger than I am, and they go to bed later than I do. And I know this. My daughter will send me a text at 11 o'clock at night, and she doesn't get mad at me for not responding at 11 o'clock at night. She maybe used to, but now she just realizes, okay, I'm really texting my dad at 6 in the morning because he's going to get up at 6 in the morning, and that's going to be the first time he's seen that text. Because texting me at 11, I promise you, if I'm not awake at 11 o'clock at night, and she understands that, so she sends a text, and she gets a response at 6 in the morning, which is fine. But so if you have those generations and everyone's in the same house, and there are open plans where the noise just goes everywhere, then what ends up ultimately happening is there's conflict. That's not an enjoyable experience. And so what we've done at Aurora is really try to mitigate that by giving you some privacy in your owner suite. And that comes in the form of separation and of insulation in the walls that comes standard, because chances are you might want to go to bed at a different time, or you might want to take a nap in the afternoon and somebody wants to watch TV. And that's hard to do. If you're looking at a plan that has the owner suite right off of the main living area, it's hard to imagine that sound's not going to be an issue in that plan. So that's just a thought.
So the core has changed a lot over the years that we've had it listed here, and we're going to talk a little bit about what changes have been made to the Cora after this short break.
Hi, this is Scott Daly at Aurora Homes. Do you know the one greatest regret that people that build a new home have when they move in? Believe it or not, it's that they didn't get all of the features that they wanted. And so one of the big problems that you have with some of the large production builders is the speed at which they're going to move you through the process of making selections on a new home. At Aurora Homes, we're going to draw your plans from scratch. We're going to get to know you in the process, and we're going to walk you through so that you get the home that best suits your life. At Aurora Homes, our semi-custom production system will allow you to get the better home. We're here. We're available. We'd love to talk to you about your new project. You can reach out to us at yourfuturewillthankyou.com or give us a call at 302-381-8881. Now back to the podcast.
And we're back. And as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to talk a little bit about how the core design has changed over the years. And so I'd like to hear from you, Scott. How has this plan changed? What's the 2024 version of this plan look like as compared to 2023 and 2022?
Well, we're just getting ready to release the Cora, and we try to give these plans a little bit of the new Cora. We try to tweak these plans realistically every couple of years. And so the Cora came out about 3 years ago, 2021.
2021.
And one of the main things that we felt like we really needed to address was some of the curb appeal. So some of these, the new elevations that are coming out in the Cora are we think they have a lot more curb appeal. It's a more attractive plan. We've also tried to sort of address some of the key issues about, we've made some tweaks to how we deal with the powder room. We've made the laundry room bigger. And these are just small things because that we think add up. And they add up because we're constantly looking at our homes and going, how can we make them more livable? And what ultimately happens in our industry is that builders roll out floor plans and they build them for decades and they barely change at all.
Right.
And it is definitely more work to continue to innovate your plans based upon the experience of the folks that are living in it, based upon your experience of how you build it. But we are at Aurora's focused on design, and so we want to continue to get that design better and better and better. And so 2024, the Cora is just one of the plans that has gone through a substantial update, but we're going to be rolling out plans all year that have the same name but have changed in small but I believe significant ways to make them more livable for the people that are buying them. We kind of look, it's funny, we look at plans, almost like, car engineering, and it's, there's these plans should all be on a cycle where they should get refreshed. If you buy a Honda Accord this year and you look at one that's 5 years old, they look different. And because at some point over a 4 or 5 year cycle, Honda as a manufacturer is going to update that car. And some of that update has to do with changes in laws and regulations and safety, but some of it has to do with new technology, and some of it just has to do, okay, here's how we're going to adjust. A Honda Accord that is built today is much larger than one 20 years ago. And that's just kind of one of the things that has changed about cars, and that has had to adapt to the way people live. And so we want to continue at Aurora to adapt the home to the way that you live. And so that's one of the things that we're continuing to do. And so we're rolling out this new design. We're pretty excited about it. So
yeah, I've definitely noticed over the past couple of years, as we're refreshing a lot of our older plans, like bathrooms get moved to different locations,
Right.
or laundry rooms get bigger, closets get bigger. It kind of depends on, like, when we get feedback from folks that are living in our houses, we're able to tweak the plans in ways that we're like, oh, three out of 4 people like this type of layout, so let's go ahead and do that. And then those sort of changes like make their way onto our templates, and then so it's kind
off they go.
it's fun. So it's always in flux. I think it's good to be always considering the buttons in the car, right? Like if you're looking at the dash of the car, and
Yeah,
you got
that's
like
a great example.
you got the buttons over here and the buttons over there, and okay, now the steering wheel has a new button that sort of does a thing that maybe you didn't really need 2 years ago, but now you need it.
Well, like you think about HDMI cables.
Yeah,
Right?
aux cables and HDMI cables.
Well, and a couple of years ago, we were one of the only companies that was adding HDMI cables to wherever you kind of told us you thought your TV was going to be in your great room.
Yeah.
And that was so you could run from your cable box to your high-def TV.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, smart TVs are all Wi-Fi enabled. You're not connecting that. You're plugging in like a Fire Stick or an Apple TV or some
just in the back of it.
really small thing into the back, straight into the TV. You don't really need the HDMI cables anymore, and you're certainly not going to run them straight back. You don't have a cable box anymore.
Yeah, I mean, video games haven't quite gotten there, but they will.
Right.
You still run HDMI, but like that would be a per request. Like
right.
You're right. Like, and honestly, those like the future of like the Xbox and Nintendo and stuff, it's probably just gonna be like a small little thing like plugged in the back of the TV, just like the Apple TVs.
Right.
It's just gonna be like a little thing.
It's just something that has changed. When I first started building houses, we gave everybody 2 cable jacks and 2 phone jacks. Phone jacks.
Phone jacks.
Right? The new neighborhoods we build in don't actually have the phone lines in them.
Yeah, they don't even run it.
They don't. Because it used to be a law that, the phone company had to run phone lines in all new neighborhoods. And once the law changed, they stopped doing all of it, because who has an actual house phone that's a real phone line? You might have a house phone that's like bundled with your cable because it's cheaper, and you might actually plug a phone into it and have a phone number, but even that's all over the internet.
Yeah,
that's
you're not going to have a landline anymore.
A real landline.
No.
They don't, so that, that's crazy. But there's probably still builders that are giving you 2 phone, 2 cable. Why? Because, it worked in 1997. So why not do it now?
So a plan like this, obviously super versatile, has lots of different ways you can use it in terms of having guests over, having children. You've got lots of privacy built into the plan. What would be the point or the purpose? What use case do you see where somebody wants to put a second floor on the house? What's kind of what are you thinking for second floor living? Why would you want that in the Cora?
So it's kind of a lifestyle thing. Is you have a single level living, and then they have all these optional second floors, and it's sort of, I think, on its face sounds a little contradictory. Like, well, if it's single level living, why is there an optional second floor? And here's the main difference: if you it really comes down to how you want to live your life. And hopefully whoever's building your house takes enough time to understand simply this, that like at Aurora Homes, with most builders, all of the plans have a first floor owner suite. So your owner suite is on the main level of the house. That's pretty universal. Now, the standard 2-story plans may not have 3 bedrooms on the main level, but they're 3-bedroom houses. So we have things like the Harper and the Gray and the Aurora, and these are 2-level plans that have a first floor owner suite, but they have 3 bedrooms at least, but those other bedrooms are upstairs, or at least some of them are, maybe most of them.
Yeah.
Depends on the plan. Well, let's say you want all of your living on the the main floor, and you just want a little other extra space. And that's why a plan like a Cora does have an optional upstairs. That if you want to say, I need 3 bedrooms, but I need a home office, or I'd love to have 3 bedrooms on the main floor, but I really could use 4 bedrooms. I have a teenage child. That's one of the main scenarios. My teenager, we're putting them upstairs where no one can hear them because they don't want to be heard by, and you don't want to hear them. They want to go do their own thing and have their own space, or you want to create like a home office or something like that is away from the main living space. So what you're saying is, I need the 3 bedrooms and all that space on the main floor, but I actually need a little more space. And so that's why you would take a ranch plan like a Cora and you would expand it up and get into that. Is that the 3 bedroom, 3.5 bath, all on one floor makes sense to you, but it doesn't check all of your boxes. So I think that's a great question, because it does seem to defeat the purpose of single level living. And we do offer, as do most builders, a number of other plans that have standard second floors.
Right.
So, and keep in mind, just in terms of budget, one of the things is that up, generally speaking, is less expensive than out. And so, like your ranch plan, like a Cora that's over 2,200 square feet in its base, is going to be more expensive than if you found a 2,200 square foot house that had 2 levels, because that is just the rancher's a more expensive way to build. And so, in some of our previous podcasts, years and years and years ago, we've talked about how cost per square foot is such a lousy way to compare builders, mostly because it's not an apples to apples comparison, because all builders have different standard features. But also, especially if you're looking at lot home packages, like the smallest house is always the most expensive house in the community on a cost per square foot basis, because it has to sit on the same piece of land that all the other builders sit on, but it has far fewer square foot in the house to spread the land cost over. So it's not a great comparison, and this is one where these ranch plans really get hurt, because their cost to build per square foot is going to be higher than what you're going to see when you do a house that has 2-story standard. And a lot of that has to do with the footprint of the house itself is going to be much smaller on the 2 level. So
yeah, I think that makes sense. I definitely I understand when you're going up, you can basically use the foundation twice, right? Like
yeah,
you use
that's exactly right.
You can use the siding twice. You can use, there's lots of different,
right.
All the structural components stack onto the foundation, and so when you go out, you got to do new foundation and new siding and new,
Right. So if you look at a house like the Gray, which is right around 3,000 square feet, the Gray by Aurora Homes, like the foundation of that house is, 40% smaller than the Cora.
Yeah.
But the house is 40% bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you just sort of have to account for that, and it goes to it. But so the Cora does have a lot of flexibility. One of the other great design things about the Cora is that center porch area, or the opportunity for a center porch area. And there's a little slice, a little U-shaped opening in the back of the Cora, and that can be done as a screen porch. It can actually be done as a finished room. It can be done just as an open patio. And what that gives you is an opportunity to have privacy in some of these communities that have smaller lots. Your main outdoor living space is maybe not open to your neighbors on either side of the house. It also gives you the opportunity, if you design that properly, to probably use that space more often, because you can block the wind. One of the things people don't realize about Sussex County here is it's windy because it's flat and it's near the ocean.
Yeah.
And so when the wind blows, which it does a lot, there isn't much to stop it. And in the spring, that wind is usually cold. And so, you get, I'm going to build this nice screen porch, and it's going to have 3 open sides, and it's going to be nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're not using it in April when the wind's blowing, but if you have only 1 open side, it might be perfect.
And so, that furniture, right? Like,
right.
I mean, right now I have a deck, and we got to put all the furniture in the garage for these huge storms coming.
Right.
It's like it's a whole thing,
Right. Or otherwise, you're gonna it's either that or pick it out of your neighbor's bushes the next day.
Which is, I'm ashamed to say, it's happened. That's multiple. We don't have the trampoline outside anymore for a lot of reasons. So.
Right. And that's just a thing. And those are just some of the little things that we've looked at this plan and we've thought about. How can we make this plan live better for people that are buying it? Again, hundreds of thousands of dollars in an investment. you'd think at least the builder can make a substantial investment in making sure that that product is going to be modern and useful for its buyer for decades to come. So that's the Cora.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right. Anything else before we sign off here?
Thanks a lot. I hope this was helpful. Continue to check out our podcast. We're on Spotify. You can get it on the Aurora Homes website, which is yourfuturewillthankyou.com. That's yourfuturewillthankyou.com. Or also look us up in iTunes or YouTube or just about anywhere else you can find a podcast. We're there. So this is the So You Want to Build a House podcast sponsored by Aurora Homes. I'm Scott Daly.
And I'm Keith Strom.
We'll see you next episode.
Bye.